why did you reunite? If I can say that this way, it was in 2009 or 2010,
I
right?
think we started talking about it in 2009, and we officially, let me think now, I think it was 2011 that we actually all got together for the first time in 16 or 15 years or something. It was like early, like February of 2011, but we started talking about it pretty much in 2010. And what kind of started the ball rolling was actually Dave Fortman, and was working on a record, was producing a record for Godsmack.
Yeah.
And you know, Shannon is the drummer for Godsmack, our drummer. So two of the guys in Ugly Kid Joe happened to be working together, and I guess it was in L.A. that they were working, and they started talking about an Ugly Kid Joe reunion. Like, oh, wouldn't that be fun? And wouldn't it be, you know, couldn't we do it? Considering that, you know, Dave would produce it, and he had a studio at the time, a really state of the art studio in Louisiana. He and Shannon started both calling myself and Whit, the singer, and saying, "Hey, you guys want to do a reunion? You know, I've got a studio here. We can just knock it out. You know, maybe an EP or something, whatever songs. You know, if you guys have any songs." So me and Whit said, "Sure." So Whit and I started, because Whit and I are both in California, and those guys are Shannon's in Florida and Dave's in Louisiana. So Whit and I started getting together and writing some songs whenever we could here in California, and then eventually in what was it, 2011, in February, I think it was 2011. Everybody flew out to California, and we all sort of met up in Los Angeles. And a friend of ours, Sonny Mayo, was working out of a studio there, and we pretty much we just got a rehearsal place, and then, you know, recorded some rough track, or recorded the drums, and you know, Cordell was there too. He lives in Los Angeles, so the five of us, you know, started working there, and then we recorded, I don't know, about 10 raw ideas with drums and things, and then we ended up going to Louisiana a few months later and finishing it at Dave's studio. All five of us went for about, I don't know, maybe a week or something, and then Whit and I stayed for another 10 days to do guitars and vocals, and then Dave went ahead and mixed it, and then we picked the songs we liked, and we decided to make an EP, and we basically just released it on iTunes back in whatever that was. That was like last summer.
Yeah, I think it was 2012. Yeah.
Yeah, 2012. I think. I'm just trying to think what month it was. It was like right June or July, because we had gotten booked a tour. Funny enough, it was funny. All these things happened at the same time. We got TKO, which is a booking agent, all of a sudden got us all these gigs, starting with Sweden Rock Festival, and then the big giant Download Festival in England,
Britain, yeah.
Donington, and that all kind of just showed itself. It was about a 5-week tour, and we went everywhere from England to Istanbul to Tel Aviv, Israel, to Romania. It was incredible. We went to a bunch of places we'd never been to before, and we opened for bands like Faith No More and
Guns N' Roses as well, right?
Guns N' Roses, yeah. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
So it was cool. After all these, 16 years pretty much of being dormant, we got to not only get together as a band and make a record, but we also got to do a really cool tour, and again play in front of some great big crowds, and open up. We got to open for, when we went on another tour, got to open up for Alice Cooper. Got to do a whole bunch of shows with Duff McKagan's Loaded. So in about a 6-7 month period, we pretty much toured almost around the world. We did Brazil as well, and we got to play, like I said, with some pretty influential bands to us, even, bands that we really grew up loving, like I mentioned earlier. Yeah. So that was a trip that we got to do all that.
So if you could remember the first one of the many shows that you did at this time, the very first show, just before going on stage, and just thinking, God, we haven't been playing for like 16 years together, mm-hmm. and then we are going to be like thrown out in front of thousands of people there, like in the Download Festival. That's amazing. Yeah. What did you feel at that moment?
It was a trip, man. I have to say, the first show was, I believe it was June 6th in London at the Underworld or Underground. and it was a club show, and it had sold out like 3 months earlier, and it wasn't a big place. It was like maybe 600, but it was sold out, well ahead of time, and that was the first time for me that I'd been in that sort of, I mean, first time for us together, but also me personally, where I could, was like getting ready to go out and play in front of a sold out club show, and I can tell you, I was pretty damn nervous, honestly. I was, it was funny. Like before, I was like, "Oh no, this is just total bizarre." It was like it was deja vu, but it was also kind of nerve wracking because it's been a while. So, sorry, I got a little sidetracked there. But then again, once we got on stage, the nervousness just kind of goes right, just disappears, and you just start playing, and then the next thing you know, it's more about, oh God, I've got to remember some of these parts. It's like the nervous stuff all goes away, and then all you're concentrating on is, first of all, you're just having a good time, but then you almost start having too good of a time, and you got to, since we haven't played together and played these songs in so long, obviously we rehearsed a lot, but I'm just saying, it's always different on stage. The sound, your mindset, everything's just so different. I mean, you're sweating. There's lights, there's a crowd, you tend to maybe speed up songs here and there, you tend to forget stuff because you're so excited, so then you start not worrying, but you start concentrating, okay, I got to step back from the excitement of all this and take a deep breath and kind of pull back a little bit from the situation and, play the songs right and make sure I do that right, but, and then you kind of start to gel after a few songs, and you start to get a good balance of, okay, I got good adrenaline running, I'm having fun, I'm not forgetting my stuff. I'm not forgetting what I've been practicing for the last month. And then, and every show got better. Yeah. Every show got better. I mean, I'll admit that show, I made a lot of mistakes. Personally, I know I made a ton of mistakes.
I'm sure you're the only one who noticed them.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, I afterwards I was like, oh man, I messed up so many times. The funny thing is I messed up a lot of the easier stuff that I never usually mess up in rehearsal. and I have nailed the parts that I was having trouble with in rehearsal, because you concentrate on that stuff and then you forget about the easy stuff. But as the tour went on, every week I felt more comfortable, and I think we as a band started playing better together, and it was the same for everybody. So by the time the tour was ended, we were pretty tight, and so we ended up luckily being able to do 3 more tours, and by the third tour, it was like we never had, pretty much felt like we'd been playing, never really quit,
Yeah.
Just like it was like old hat, it was like riding a bike, it was no problem, and that's that.
Did you get some reactions from the fans, like after the shows or during the tours or whatever, like people whom I think wanted you to reunite way before you did, and who were like, geez, at last we can see Ugly Kid Joe playing together again. Did you had some fan reaction like that?
Oh yeah, I mean we'd do a lot of interviews for one thing the whole time we were touring, and we'd always do meet and greets afterwards, and people would tell us funny stories about how they were just too young to see us the first time. They were like 14 and they didn't get the permission to see us from their parents or something like that, and their older brother got to go and then bragged about it the whole time, that kind of stuff. And then they said stuff like, yeah, we waited 16 years to see you guys, and then we had funny stories where people would bring their kids. They said, oh yeah, you were the first band I ever saw, and this is my kid's first rock concert ever. So it was kind of funny because we're older now, and then you start having your fans as kids come to your show. It's pretty silly, but it's cool. I mean, there's definitely a lot of kind of cool nostalgic moments for a lot of people, I think, including ourselves.
Yeah. And so you that was just after you released that EP called Stairway to Hell. Mm-hmm. Still in the same register, like kind of comical, ironical, register. For example, your name, Ugly Kid Joe, is like is taken from another band's name, or if I can recall,
Pretty Boy Floyd.
Yeah, that's it, Pretty Boy Floyd. Your previous albums, like I think about America's Least Wanted Here, which is a terrific record, by the way, was kind of a little bit cynical about all the U.S. society and stuff like that. And that now you like 16 years after, you produce Stairway to Hell, which of course makes everybody think about Stairway to Heaven from Led Zeppelin. Why calling that Stairway to Hell? What's behind all that?
Oh, well, it's simply just we a couple of things we talked about when we did this reunion was that we're not going to try to be something else. That if we were going to do something else, we'd start a new band and start a new name. So we said if we're going to do an Ugly Kid Joe thing, let's keep it like it was, and let's do all those things that kind of made us Ugly Kid Joe, and made us a little unique in the fact that let's make sure we keep a sense of humor. We're not going to come out and make this really dark, sad record, because that's not us. So we also, one of the things we talked about was, what about the title of the record? We need to come up with like a kind of a funny little twist on words, like we always have, sort of a parody-ish name. And we had a list of like 20-something names of just stupid, silly things. And so that one always sort of survived the test, Slowly but surely names would get crossed off, and that one just barely always hung in there until at the end it all kind of just came together, and we're like, well, that'd be the perfect thing, because we're taking another name of a famous song and we're mixing it with another famous record, Highway to Hell and Stairway to Heaven, which are pretty opposite in their meaning.
Yeah.
And I think that was the kind of parody of it. Like, we're sort of, kind of mashing the two together, which happen to be two of our favorite bands of all time, Led Zeppelin and AC/DC. And it just sort of had a good ring to it, and we went with it. And then the art came together, and then everything came together with the logos and stuff. So it was a fun process.
Yeah, it's also very funny to hear in the EP that the ballad, the ballad's title is Another Beer. That's really funny. You sing like you have a really slow tune, really, you can say a little bit romantic, called Another Beer. I think that's totally what Ugly Kid Joe does, right?
I'm sorry, you kind of broke out there for that last question.
I said that the ballad of the EP called Another Beer.
Right, Another Beer, yeah.
I find that makes a little bit peculiar, You have a ballad, a very, very beautiful song called Another Beer, which is really not that beautiful, and I think it's really what Ugly Kid Joe does all the time, mixing things that wouldn't be mixed up with every other band, or...
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not a love song. I guess it's kind of a love song about beer, but as long as it, again, it's one of those songs that hopefully people have fun with it, and it, sing along type song with a little sarcastic humor to it. It's sort of the sadness of it, but it's also the that moment of you just want one more, and that's the classic famous last line. So I'll just have another beer, and 20 beers later, you're who knows where you are. But it's always here in California. We got a closing time of 2 o'clock. So at about 1:30, it's like this big rush to get your last beer, and and a lot of times you too late, and you're like, please, another beer, come on, just one before you close the place. And he's like, nah, man, I can't do it, can't. And it's just a sad moment of just depression, like, what? I can't get one more, and you just started feeling good, so then you're all sad.
Well, same thing here, but imagine that we have a closing time at 1 o'clock.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You're in France? Are you in France?
Yeah.
Okay. It's at 1 o'clock there?
Yeah.
What about the clubs, though?
Well, I will have no more.
See, we don't have anything like that. I mean, sometimes in the big cities like LA, they do, but legally speaking, everything you can't even have a drop of alcohol in your cup at 2 a.m. or the place can get shut down.
Yeah, it's the same thing here, but it's at 1 o'clock. That's for normal bars. Then we have night bars, which close at 3 o'clock.
See, we don't have that.
Okay, and then after the closing time of night bars, we go in nightclubs.
Right,
but usually you're too trash to go in the nightclub.
Right.
So you go home at 3 o'clock.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
You said that Led Zeppelin and AC/DC were two of your biggest favorite bands ever.
Right.
When we hear your music, it's kind of, you know, a little bit of funk, hard funk, a little bit sometimes, and
Yeah.
especially I think on Stairway to Hell, which I found new nuances to your music that I didn't really see in the first record that you did in the early '90s. Would you have what are your main influences in music?
Well, in regards to that influence, the kind of funky stuff, you know, maybe like the ending part of Everything About You,
Yeah,
or Madman. I'm trying to think of the few songs that kind of have a little bit of that, a little bit of the funk element. It was definitely a major influence of ours was the Red Hot Chili Peppers. That was a band we totally idolized just because of their originality, the kind of fun craziness of the band, and the fact that they had that funky element. I would never consider us a funky band at all. We're more of a hard rock, heavy metal band, but we were big fans of the Chili Peppers, and you know, you kind of try to emulate the bands that you really, really like. And I mean, seeing them live was sort of you know, eye-opening or mind-opening experience for me because all I had ever gone to see was heavy metal bands and hard rock bands my whole life. And then I went and saw the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and I saw this whole new scene of the underground, whatever you want to call that kind of I don't know, psycho freaky, you know, like a little hip hop, funk, rock, metal, all kind of mashed together. And it was something that we definitely wanted to incorporate in our music. Now, we are by no means funk masters, although we did when we were looking for a bass player. One of the things we wanted him to be able to do was to be able to play, you know, slap bass and things like that. And we found Cordell, and he was like the perfect guy because he's great for rock, but he's also an amazing funk bass player. And he had a lot of that type of influence in his upbringing as a bass player, like you know, Motown stuff and things like that. That was definitely some of his earliest and biggest influences. So that was kind of cool. It was a cool kind of marriage that you know, and me and Whit came from the full-on heavy metal world of, you know, suburban California, listening to Van Halen and Judas Priest and AC/DC. And then, you know, when Dave Fortman joined the band, that was cool too, because he brought sort of a little bit of that country, southern rock feel that you kind of hear in a few songs. In fact, he's the one that plays Dobro all over Another Beer, which gives it that real kind of country feel. And he also wrote some of the songs like Milkman's Son, Would You Like to Be There, and songs that kind of have that more of a, I think it sounds slightly more southern rock, and he's from the South, you know. So, and then of course Shannon, when he joined, he's just the baddest hard rock drummer, one of the best out there. So he just brought us, and he can play every type of style. So he just made the band just a whole lot better. Simply for fun, we just got in the studio real quick, and in a couple of days, mainly with Cordell and Dave, mainly got together and put together sort of like a bonus track, so to speak. So it's not the exact same thing as it already was. And then, so that's cool. Technically, it's 9 songs now.
Yeah, so that's a very long EP, actually.
Yeah, we were wondering, is it still an EP? But, you know, I guess it's still. And then we're talking about, you know, I'm working on a few songs right now. Whit's got a few songs, ideas. Dave does too. So hopefully, sometime in the near, probably after, we're gonna actually tour back in Europe this summer. So we're talking about maybe after that getting together and, you know, seeing where this all leads to, and if it can lead back into the studio, that would probably be the time it would happen. Yeah, we're definitely going to Europe in end of July and early August, and then we're going to see if we can, how long we can string that tour out. But we're definitely going to be in we're actually playing the Polish Woodstock, which is on August 1st. And it's like 500,000 people, average attendance. Yeah, it's massive.
Yeah,
so
if
that many people really show up, like they say, that'll be the biggest show we've ever played, hands down. Which is again very funny considering that it's been 16 years, you know.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden we're doing things that we couldn't even do back when we were like, I mean, let's just say we had our moment there where we were very popular and we could, you know, sell out all over the place, but we still never got to go to like Israel or Eastern Europe, really. I don't think we ever played in Eastern Europe. And all of a sudden now, 16 years later, 17, 18 years later, we're going to some really cool places that we always wanted to go. But back then it just wasn't the, you know, even though we were more popular back then, there wasn't the infrastructure to just go and play in, you know, Israel and Poland and, you know, Bulgaria and places like that.
Yeah. And
So that's cool.
What do you think? I was speaking with my my guitar teacher, and he's a big fan of you guys. He actually taught me a song called like yeah, I'll keep trying. And he was telling me like, Ugly Kid Joe to Hellfest this year. I bet you like $100 they will be there. And I said, we'll see. And so
wait, what about Hellfest?
He thought you were going to be in Hellfest, and I think many people thought about you being at Hellfest. Did you get any contact from them, or?
Yeah, I forget what happened with that. Shoot, I don't remember. I think. Okay, I'm thinking we played. No, I don't think. Yeah, you're right. We didn't do the Hellfest. I think it may have been really close that we might have done it. I think it may have been a thing where we already had, you know, what do you call it? Something else going on, and we couldn't do both. I can't remember, but I do remember talking to somebody about it at some point.
All right. And would you think doing Hellfest someday, or? Yeah,
it's in. When is it?
It is this year. It is on 21st, 22nd, and 23rd of June.
Yeah, no, I have not heard anything about doing it this year. I think it's probably already full up by now.
Yeah.
The you know, the bill.
But anyway,
you never know.
If you release a new record, it'll be a great occasion to maybe, you know, have a little show in France. I think you have lots of fans there.
Let me see if we are playing in France. I can't. I've only gotten a few, like 6 confirmed shows so far.
Okay.
Let me look real quick. Why is it doing it? Okay. Okay, here we go. 1 second. Oops. I could have sworn there's. I know we're playing in Belgium. We're doing a festival there, so that's real near you, right?
It is, yeah.
We're doing the. What is this? A couple shows in Germany, the Polish one, Wacken, Germany. Luckers Festival.
You go to Wacken?
Yeah. We're playing the Wacken 2013, their festival there. And then we're doing. I know there's right now we only have 6 confirmed shows.
Yeah.
But there was a few more. Like I think there was one in Czechoslovakia, and I think there may have been one in France actually, but I'm not sure.
We have 2 festivals in France. One is called Hellfest.
Right.
Well,
right.
2 metal festival actually, 2 heavy rock festivals. One is called Hellfest, is in Clisson,
right.
in June, and the other one is called the Monoculture Fest. And this is the smallest one, and it's in August.
That could be possible, or even just a show, you know, like a club show somewhere in France. I could have sworn there was one in France, but like I said, it hadn't been confirmed, so I don't have it on my list here. But yeah, France is rad. We played in what was that place? Shoot, we played. It was like the 5th show or something in outside of Paris.
Near Paris, but outside of Paris?
Yeah, like 45 minutes outside. I forget the name.
South?
I don't know. It was, and it was a club. It was a small club, but it was totally jam-packed, and it was like the most crazy crowd. It was awesome.
Yeah.
It's all over. You can go on YouTube and check it out. You can see, like, because, you know, everybody's got their iPhones now and their whatever,
yeah, sure.
cameras and things. So, but yeah, that was a really fun concert. Definitely one of the best ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as far as your the gear that you use, what kind of guitar you plays, or amps, or? Well,
I think mainly for recording, I try to use like a Gibson Les Paul and a Marshall amp, an older Marshall, like I think it's like a 1983 JCM 800, and I use a Rat distortion box, and that's like the basic sound. But that amp doesn't. For touring, I've switched over to Orange amps. I really like their rocker verb amp. I think they get the cool thing about them is I don't, you know, that's all you need is that amp. You don't need a distortion box. You don't need a clean channel.
Yeah,
I mean, you
you
don't
don't
need
need
a
anything.
clean amp. It's just it has a really good clean sound and a really good, you know, distorted rock sound, and you know, it's all right there, and it's super easy to use. It's got like 6 knobs, and because a lot of the new amps, I was going to look into a few, and they just have like 20 knobs and like 4 channels, and I just was confused because I'm used to just a Marshall and then a clean amp for clean stuff, and you know, Marshall's the 800s are like the most basic setup. You know, what is it? Mid, bass, treble, presence, preamp, and volume, and that's what I'm used to. And then all these new companies come out and they add in like depth.
Do you have an idea of the songs you'll be playing in Europe this summer?
Oh yeah, we ended up doing like an hour and a half set list with pretty much something from every record we ever did. Obviously, a lot of stuff from America's Least Wanted. We play about 1, 2, I think we played 4 of the new songs of the original 6 from the EP. We might want to start playing "Would You Like to Be There," which I don't think we've ever played. There's definitely and then we have like we got a few covers we were doing. We were doing some Motorhead, some AC/DC, and we might learn something new, a different cover. Of course, we play Everything But You, Cats in the Cradle, that stuff. Yeah, it's we, like I said, we play pretty much a few songs from each record we ever did.
Yeah.
And it ends up being about an hour and a half. Like I said, we throw in a couple covers. And then every now and then I get forced into singing Mr. Record Man.
What would be your favorite Ugly Kid Joe song?
Oh, wow. Fuck. I mean, I guess in a messed up, well, it wouldn't be my favorite song, but I think
You know,
the one that
what if you took the acoustic guitar that is behind you and play it so that I see if I recognize it?
Oh, let's see.
Would you do that?
Sure.
No, that's great. Oh man, nice pick.
That's from the old school too, I think. Oh no, these are the old.
Oh yeah.
That's probably my favorite newer song that we've got.
That rocks. Really cool.
That one's fun.
Yeah.
I like that. Trying to think. I like also playing. I love it when you. That's the No One Survived. That one's fun to play. God, those are probably 2 of my favorites. Oh, I like playing that one. What's that? I'm All Right. I like playing that one. That gets the crowd going because it's got a good tempo.
Yeah, it's really good song. Personally,
you know,
I really love
rocker songs.
I'll Keep Trying. I think that's my favorite. I really like the end of I'll Keep Trying.
Oh Oh man, we haven't played that in forever. That
Really?
weird we did. That's the weird. It was like it's like a three. It's like do 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 do. We just yeah. It's like 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 5 1 2 3.
Yeah,
That was us just having fun with like doing a weird ending, you know? Like we didn't. That was no formula. We were just like, let's do something weird kind of thing.
you remember how to play it, right?
I couldn't play it for you right now.
Really? I think it's something like that. I don't remember.
I forgot it.
No, I think it's a. Something like that.
Are you in regular E, huh? Or not?
Huh?
Are you in regular E?
Yeah.
I guess well.
You're not? Maybe it's something like that.
I forget.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're a half step up for me, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, this thing's way out of tune.
Yeah, I mean regular E. Something like that, right?
Yeah, I'm a half step down. Yeah, you got it. Don't worry about it.
I think.
Yeah, and then of course I like playing.
The song that was everywhere on the radio at the time, right?
Yeah, it was crazy with that. What happened with that song? I mean, we had no. I mean, we just it was pretty cool. That was like the ultimate like overnight thing where you're like literally within from absolute obscurity playing tiny clubs, 200 people showing up, and all of a sudden you have a hit on the radio and 800 people are showing up. And there's a line out front, and every day you hear your song on the radio, or see it on MTV.
What do you feel when that happens? Because I think
you're all excited, and it's hearing a song on the radio for the first time is really really amazing because you've been listening to the radio your whole life, and you kind of always hope that'd be kind of cool to have it. That would be really cool to have a song on the radio. You don't, we were always a rock band, so a lot of the stuff I listened to wasn't on the radio anyway. But when you hear your song get played on the radio for the first time, it's a pretty cool moment. That's one of the highlights, I think, of the experience of being in a band. For me, was that hearing like a song of ours being played on the radio. I think we were just driving somewhere and it came on, and we all just were like, "Oh my God, listen!" And we turned it up, and everybody got quiet. We listened to the whole thing, and it was a moment where you're like, "This is what how the other people hear it. This is how everybody's experiencing it." Because we been in the studio and recorded and listened to it a million times in different ways, and then that's finally the moment where you're like, "Whoa, there it is!" And then we did the video for it because the song kind of took off on its own. It was like the #1 requested song in the United States for like a month straight, and it was very way more than any other song. I remember seeing the chart at one of the radio stations, and they'd had to add pages because every time someone called, they'd check that it was requested, and of course it was the ultimate. I want to dedicate this song to my ex-boyfriend or ex-girlfriend because I hate them. So it was kind of a messed up signal, but obviously it's all in good fun. It's just a joke of a song. It's not like not to be taken literally, but there's a lot of people that get in that situation where they would like to play a song like that for somebody, and that was the kind of the funny thing about it, that it wasn't a love song. Usually hits are love songs,
Yeah.
about, you know, love and about how much you love someone or want to be with them. And this song's like the exact opposite. So in a way, that was kind of that was actually kind of cool because, you know, we'd hear what DJs would say afterwards, and they were like, they'd laugh and they'd say, oh, finally someone's, you know, saying what we're really all thinking, instead of these, you know, everybody's always getting perfect love song or their heart's broken. And this is like the exact opposite, which is a totally normal emotion. I'm not trying to get all deep on the song because it's not, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it was kind of like there was a vacuum that we filled with that song, and that's why I think it became so popular.
Yeah.
You know, it's no masterpiece or anything like that. I just think that it was, like I said, it was kind of original in its whole take on the whole, you know, kind of making, again, being a parody on a love song. Guitar action rocks on.
Yeah, that's cool.